the invitation to live a tantric lifestyle is very much a call to the heart. There can be this assumption that the first step into a tantric life is sex, and that may be what attracts us initially to Tantra, that we are wanting to explore our sexual relationships, that we are wanting to explore our sexual consciousness. But the call into living a tantric life is very much from the heart. When we have this call of the heart, that is when our sexual consciousness and our interactions of sex can truly expand, because sex and heart have to come into an alignment. There has to be this meeting of love and sex and love. Living a tantric life is a very simplistic life. It is one of curiosity, it is one of play, it is one of freedom. It is one that keeps on revealing and revealing our true radiant self. That is not to say that it doesn't come with challenges and resistance and obstacles. For the challenges and resistance and obstacles are our resistance to the simplicity. They are what is not in alignment of the simplicity of a tantric lifestyle. Challenges and obstacles are our opportunity to grow if we choose to see it that way and not get stuck in the shit. My favourite saying is, out of shit grows beautiful roses. And if we think about that, that's very much the way life is. That if we choose to see the growth and the opportunity, the potential for growth in something that we are so stuck in, it will be there every single time. Even in my most challenging times of grief and loss and pain, there's been some medicine in that. There's been an opportunity for me to grow closer to who I am, closer to the truth. Tantric life is very much a container, a supportive container that we can choose to lean into. When we have two pathways, let's say, we can choose to go down the route of the drama and the noise and the chaos, or we can take a breath and choose to lean into what is simple. I also like to say, if it isn't simple, don't do it. It's humanity that has made how we live complicated. But life itself, life in its purest form, is simple. Tantra is not all about sex. This has been a repetitive message from myself for years now, that it is not all about great sex. It cannot possibly be. And what we find is when people are only delving into the sex side of Tantra, exploring sex, then there isn't a container for that sex to keep on flourishing. So the sex will be great and adventurous and a new way, and things will unravel and things will grow and things will expand and things will be fresh and alive and exciting. But after time, if that's the only focus and the only pathway, this will begin to peter out. And this is because our lifestyle is our container for everything. How we live, how we meet life, how we relate with others. It is our container. And so live in Tantra is absolutely essential for all that we are, all aspects of who we are, to flourish and to feel nurtured and to feel nourished and to have ground, Otherwise, everything is a concept or a belief or an idea, and not something that we are living from, that is embodied and integrated into our everyday experience. The beauty, as I have said, about tantric lifestyle is that it's simple, and if we reflect upon being children, our life then was simple. Yes, we may have been cared for by others and supported by others, and we didn't have to worry about money and relationships and all these adult things that we have to attend to. But the bare way of how we met life, related with ourselves, met our environment, met others, was very pure, very innocent, very playful, very curious, very creative, and very simple. So in this video, I would just like to share with you 3 things that can that are part of our everyday life, that we can, when we approach them in a different way, that we can see that things start to change within us and around us. Those changes are always subtle. If we keep looking for fireworks, we will dismiss the subtle unfolding and the rich growth in the soft and the gentle as being powerful, rather than always looking for these firework moments of transcendence. They do happen, but it's also the small steps there, the tender unfolding, that also brings a depth of richness. So great sex needs a container, it needs ground. I have witnessed so many people in an exploration of Neo-Tantra, which is very sexually based, but their lifestyle still has unhealthy behavior, unhealthy relationships, unhealthy attitudes towards themselves, the environment, the world, and others. And so, as I've said, this sexual transcendence, this sexual growth has no ground, nothing to hold it, nothing to nourish it, nothing to nurture it, because everything around it is unhealthy. So we want to create the container for great sex to keep expanding, to keep unfolding, to keep transcending into what the truth of tantric sex is. It's not about being having great sex. It's about our own individual transcendence of sexual maturity. So the first ingredient would be our breath, the way we breathe. It's really important, the way we breathe. The way we breathe is how we relate with our inner world, and then as we breathe out, how we relate with our external world. Every breath in is an opportunity to come into our inner landscape, to notice how we feel in our body. Can we drop down and in to our pelvis? Can we meet our own heart? Can we be with our sex without acting upon it in a primitive way? And when we breathe out, how are we meeting the world? Our breath out is our expression into the world. Our breath in is a drinking in of life. So our breath is very important in Tantra. And are we able to slow that down so it's long and slow and deep? Are we allowed, can we be present to our breath? Our breath supports us to be present because it is in this moment. And as we take our next breath, it's the next moment. And as we take another breath, it's the next moment. So our breath is always present. It is also consistent. It is what we can always return to as our anchor. When there is chaos and destruction and drama and noise, we can return to the breath. And the breath will take us into the present moment, and it will also take us into our inner world. How are we feeling? So we can meet how we are feeling. How can we hold ourselves with our breath? So we start to create new and healthy relationships with ourselves and our body just by being with our breath. We get to know our inner world in a very intimate way, and we get to see with our breath what is unhealthy attitudes towards ourselves and what we need to let go of, what's in the way of being our truth, what unloving ways are in the way. So our breath is always a return. Our breath offers us presence, it offers us consistency, and it offers us the opportunity to know and be with our inner landscape. And then as we breathe out, how we are expressing ourselves in the world. What are we projecting? What are we manifesting as we breathe out? How are we relating? How are we meeting the world? Our breath is also the way we self-soothe, the way we comfort, the way we can be in our belly, the way we can be in our body, the way we can ground and root into our sex as an anchor. Our breath is also how we meet another. If we can breathe this moment with another, then we can breathe the next. If this breath with another, this one breath, has a disturbance to it, then we can be curious about what that disturbance is. Can we be silent? Can we breathe with another in this moment? And if there is anything in the way of that ability to be intimate with another, then we will start to notice. The breath is simple. We breathe every day. And we do not have to do the breath. We breathe without having to make any effort. When we're asleep, we are still breathing. So if we can also come into the rhythm of our breath, know our breath. How does our breath flow? How does it move us? How does it flow out into the world? Without changing and adapting our breath, just being conscious of it and noticing and allowing space for it to be long and slow and deep. So our breath will also support us to slow down and be present. The next important ingredient in living a tantric life is our sensual world. Again, relating to children, they touch everything, they taste everything, they smell everything, they tune into hearing everything. And this expands such creativity and awe and curiosity back into our life. It also supports us to be present. It also supports us to be more conscious. What we are tasting, what we are eating, how that tastes. We suddenly realize we are actually full and we don't need to eat anymore. Or we actually really savor a taste. And close your eyes and the first mouthful of your food, actually taste it. Then you'll find that a richer experience of that taste comes into the whole of your body, and your relationship with your body changes simply through taste. And again, we find whether we are full or we start to hear what our body really needs to feel nourished and healthy and alive. So things start to drop and fall away. when we spend time with touch, again, touch is very, very present. It's very, very here. It's very, very now. So the way we touch and the way we allow ourselves to be touched, what's the unhealthy distortions there? What are the stories there that are in the way of the simplicity of touch? Sound, can you close your eyes and listen, tune in to that one bird's song or something in your environment, and in that instant you will become present, and everything else, the rest of the noise, will fall away. The more and more we attune to the simplicity of our senses, touch, taste, smell, the more and more what doesn't matter and the noise starts to fall away. It's effortless. The effort is when we are clinging to the noise. The effort is when we are clinging to the patterns. The effort is when we are clinging to an untruth. The rest is very, very simple. We are very, very visual people. We use our sight so much. We use 95% our visual, and the rest we forget about. So if we can drop how much we use our sight and actually tune into our other senses, we find that life feels richer, it feels more vibrant, it feels more colourful, because we're having different experiences. It feels more alive, it feels more fresh. We take less for granted. With our sight, we have already decided how something tastes because of what it tastes like last time. But every strawberry will taste different, I assure you. Every touch, even if we have been with that person for years, will feel different if we just attune to that touch and attune to that person in the moment, rather than already deciding how their skin feels, how it feels to be close to them, how it feels to be touched by them. All these attachments we have to our senses that bring us into the here and now. And it is the here and now, the present, where there is aliveness, and the ordinary becomes extraordinary. It has become ordinary because we have defined it, and we have already decided with our vision and our mind what that experience is going to be before we have even experienced it. Presence. Presence is important, and that is the next key. Children are not thinking about what they're going to do next. It is us as adults that say, we are going to go. Would you like to go and see? They are so absorbed in what they are doing in that moment. And then they will go to the next moment and be fully absorbed in that. And then the next and be fully absorbed in that. The past. We drag our children into the past. What did you do at school today? What did you do yesterday? So we are always pulling our children into the past or the future when they know, and we knew as children, how to be present. Presence is so important. In the present, there is no story. In the present, we don't get identified with what has happened to us. We are the happening in the present moment. Tantra reveals our true self because in the present moment, that is all that there is. We are not the person who was. We are not the person who is going to be. We are here, this person. Breath, senses, and our presence support a tantric life. And from that container, that environment we are creating with a tantric lifestyle and the simplicity of that, then all those aspects of us that have been hiding away, our creativity, our voice, our passions, our sex feels safe to come out and play, because there are aspects of us that don't feel safe, and so they won't come out to play until the environment says it's okay to come out and play. We cannot be intimate, be seen, be met, be heard if our environment does not feel safe to some aspect of us. So the container, the environment, is absolutely essential, and that is how we live. It's how we live that is our environment, the daily ways we treat ourselves, speak with ourselves, how we relate with others, how we feel in the world. And that's the noise. And every time we come back to simplicity, the noise gets softer, the noise gets quieter, and the noise loosens its grip on defining not simply how we live, but also who we are.